I definitely don't care because I'm not fucking American.
Don't
So
care
I was
about-
like,
don't care
a lot of
about
this stuff is I look at it and I see it as, oh, this is this is like shit's blowing up in America. This is going crazy, and there's all these his social disruption from like, you know, race clashes and gender and like identity politics clashing, and I can sort of sit outside it without getting too emotionally invested in it because I'm like Irish and there was never really
you guys
much.
were the minority, or you brought this up once that you guys were shit. You guys are the white Europeans who didn't have it so great. So
We didn't have it great, but we weren't. I don't know. We weren't. There's people who tried to claim that there was Irish slaves. I don't think there was, and things like that. But just within our country, within growing up, in it wasn't an issue. It wasn't like there was foreigners in our school, and there are more now. And they're probably in terms of, like, treated maybe not politically correctly in like the standards of what America has now, but there wasn't so many of them that it became like a movement or anything, and most of them didn't integrate particularly well, and there wasn't that many, so it wasn't a big issue. And growing up for me, I just like never had any like stigma against other races or other cultures. It was just, oh, they're here, cool. I don't care.
So I realize there's this progression because in Korea the discrimination, anti-discrimination thing is just between men and women. They don't have many people from other races or other countries.
Yeah, but I think they do with like Chinese.
They have a growing I heard it's like 2 million, which would be something like 4% of their population is Chinese. Anyway, but they have much less. And then when I hear about Ireland, where you guys have men and women, of course, but then also you have people who are either foreigners or not foreigners. Like you could very easy to distinguish if you're white, you know you're a native person, and if you're very dark skinned, you know that it's either you or your generation before that came there. And in America, we have minorities who are black people who are not foreigners at all, and yet get treated in a different way, which adds like another twist on top of all of that shit. So we have men, we have men and women. We have
there's like second generation,
second generation. We have foreigners, but then we have people who have been here for like 3 generations, even though they're not white. And then you have black people who have been there the longest.
That's what we don't really have in Ireland. Is like kind of like multiple generations.
The thing is, we have like you can yell at us. It's easy to yell at Americans because we have the most PC shit going on. But you could see why it had to evolve.
Of course,
because the originality of PC was okay. It was like, don't use racial slurs. It was like, okay, sounds like a good idea. And then it turned into like, don't ever say like the wrong thing that could upset one person. It was like, oh, but now this is too much. Like, I don't mind not offending people, but when it comes down to like, don't say things that you should be allowed to say for fear that it could offend one person somewhere, then it's like, well, now we've lost the usefulness of this now.
Yeah, and particularly in like certain jobs, I don't know.
Oh, here's a good example. Maybe you heard about this. This astronaut in America, on Twitter, he quoted Winston Churchill, right? It was just regular quote from Winston Churchill. Then somebody else found out that Winston Churchill was kind of racist at some point somewhere in his life. They're like, better take it back. You can never quote Winston Churchill. It's like, you mean the most quotable motherfucker ever? Winston Churchill, the Irish guy, the Irish author, gay dude.
Fuck, I'm gonna make
Oliver.
Oscar
Wilde, right? If you had to go around life not quoting Winston Churchill and Oscar Wilde and like...
But what's wrong with Oscar Wilde?
Well, I'm sure if you ever found out he said some weird racist thing, or what if he said something about straight men? And he said straight men are the worst because they always...
But that'd be applauded.
Well, okay, that'd be applauded, but you know, whatever it is, the thing is nowadays, it's like you have to throw out Winston Churchill because, he was racist in this way or whatever. And you're like, dude was born 1880, number one. Number two, like, people are good and bad. There are bad things about people. It doesn't mean that the good things are like disregard and throw them away. Like,
it's like people who have
George Washington owned slaves.
Was it that like
it's not good, but it happened.
James Brown, he's a great artist, and this is true of like even John Lennon, like beat the shit out of his wife.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's like, oh well, does that discredit? I mean, the Beatles, their music sucks anyway. But like, why would?
Whoa! You think the Beatles' music sucks?
I mean, come on.
They have a huge catalog.
Yeah.
You can't. Nobody likes all of their music. But...
No, I'm just fucking around. It's okay. But anyway, James Brown, and then even recently, like that rapper who died. XXX Tentacion. He was like in the last. I said in like a French accent, but in the like last year he died, and he apparently like stabbed women and stuff.
Yeah.
And he has like good songs, and I'm listening to his songs. And I'm like, they're good.
Songs are so good.
And yeah, James Brown. You watch his the movie about him. He's like a monster, you know, and he'd hurt people around him, but he made amazing music. And it's like, do you discredit everything they say, or you just discredit everything Winston Churchill says?
It's weird when you start
because he did one bad thing, or like even if your character is actually more even just you have a small bad side, being fundamentally flawed. Is everything you do then discredited, or can you make some sort of progress or an improvement? Like you know, everybody has something to bring to the table, even if they suck.
Again, I'm lifting this straight from Sam Harris, but you have to separate ideas from people, right? If someone has a good idea and they're just a horrible monster, it doesn't mean that their idea is bad.
Or like,
if someone goes around and goes...
On the contrary, like, it could almost, like, Edison, wasn't it Edison or whoever the guy invented the light bulb? Apparently he was like this like, sort of vicious, competitive person who like stole ideas from all of the people who were trying to figure out the same thing.
Tesla had a better idea, and he basically fucked him over. And
it screwed everyone over, and then, like, of course, brought all of the modern world to where we are today.